guys, what's up? So we're getting closer to the end. We're going to talk about Galway and just outside of Galway today. We kind of just did a lot of driving through a lot of little towns, and I don't remember the names of all of them. So Galway, etc. And there are not very many pictures. I'm really sorry. This one's probably going to be like the lightest on pictures ever, because this was like, I think it had been at least a week since we'd been able to charge the digital camera batteries. But anyway, we left Dublin after we picked up our car and headed towards Galway, which Galway is on almost the exact opposite side as Dublin. So Dublin's on the east coast of Ireland, of the island, and then Galway is, I swear it was like almost directly across. So we were pretty much just driving right across the middle. We tried to take more back roads just because it's kind of cooler and you can see, you know, the countryside. It's really pretty. And it was really cool. The street signs are in Gaelic and English, which we thought was nifty, and we were listening to the radio and it was all Gaelic and we didn't understand it, but it was cool. But the back roads are really bumpy. Although the highways are bumpy too, it's just that the highways are a little wider. That was another thing that was kind of crazy. We'd been warned about this though. The roads are pretty narrow, especially when you take back roads. And so we were warned that if we're on a really narrow road, which most of them are narrow, and there's a bigger vehicle coming the other direction, that it will not move for us, or it will not stop. And so you're expected to just get over as far as you can and let the big like bus or truck or something pass by, and then you can keep going, because they won't swerve at all. They'll just play chicken with you and you will crash. So we had to do that a couple of times. It wasn't really that big a deal, but it did make me kind of nervous because it didn't have the same kind of blind corners as in England where there's like hedges and stuff, but there was still some blind corners. I think there is a picture of that. And so we went to Galway, and it was pretty cool. We had to ask for directions to get to our hostel because we couldn't find it. Things weren't labeled, blah, blah, blah. But we were in a pretty good mood once we got to our hostel because it was awesome. It was one of the best of the whole trip. And it's funny because I think some of the best hostels we stayed in, we weren't there for that long. Like a few of them that we liked a whole lot, we were there for like one night. And it was the same with Galway. We were only going to be there just the one night. But it was so great. There was no smoking, which I loved that because I don't like cigarettes. And it had a huge kitchen. People were super nice. Big dining area. And we got 30 minutes of free internet per person. And they also had plug adapters that you could borrow so we could finally freaking charge our camera batteries. So that was amazing. And it was a nice place. I honestly don't remember the name off the top of my head, but I have it written down somewhere if any of you want to know if you're going to go stay in Galway. But it was a Sunday when we got there, and we, by this time, were very prepared. If we were going to go to a grocery store, we're like, oh, we got to do that first. So we went to the grocery store, and we've been finding a lot of Tesco markets, which I think is a UK chain, I think. Pretty positive. But they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool markets. They have pretty good selection, and we found hummus. At this point, we were really looking for like things that we make at home. We were getting a little bit homesick. Mostly homesick for things that were like certainties. Like we knew there would be hot water in the shower as long as, you know, 3 other people hadn't already taken a shower. We knew that we could do our laundry without putting coins into it. You know, those kinds of things. I was looking forward to having different clothes to wear because we've been wearing the same clothes for a long time and it gets a little bit tedious. I don't really care that much. But, you know, after a while, you just kind of want at least a couple different shirts or something to choose from. You're like, I gotta wear this again. Anyway, we walked around Galway a little bit too. It's just a cute little seaside town. Not a lot going on, but it was nice. It was really chill, and we were just excited to have such a cool hostel also. Bummer that was only one night. The next day, we were setting off for the Dingle Peninsula. We had been told by a friend that we just had to go to Dingle. There's a town called Dingle on the Dingle Peninsula, and this is like further south from Galway. So I'm like, okay, when I was booking our hostels, I searched Dingle on the hostel that I was looking at, or the hostel website, excuse me, and under Dingle, like when I clicked on the town of Dingle, you know, when you click on a town, it like pulls up a whole bunch of different hostels. So I clicked on Dingle and it pulled up one hostel. So obviously I didn't have a lot to choose from, so I booked it. And when I was booking these hostels, I just, you know, wrote down the addresses and directions and whatever and had it all in my little file folder. I didn't really know, like, the addresses are different over there. I didn't know what part was the city and what was, you know, postal code, and I just didn't know. I didn't pay attention. And so we didn't really think much about just heading straight for Dingle, right? If we're going to a hostel in Dingle, we'll just head for the town and then start looking at the directions. So we got stuck in road construction. It took us forever, and I thought, okay, it seems like we're probably getting close, so I might as well pull out the directions, the address now. And at this point, I had realized, like, how the addresses worked over there, and it was not in Dingle. Our hostel was in a town called Kells, and I'm like, okay, maybe that's right next to Dingle. No, it's across Dingle Bay from Dingle. So we drove almost the entire length of the peninsula trying to get to the town of Dingle when that is not where our hostel was. And it was a little later in the day, and so we decided to just turn around. We're like, well, we better just get to our hostel. It was dumb. We could have just gone to Dingle and walked around and then driven to our hostel, but I was super pissed. I was mad at myself, but I was kind of mad at Hostel World, the website that I used, because I clicked on Dingle and that's what it gave me, not Dingle. So anyway, so we found our real hostel in Kells, which Kells was, it wasn't a town. There was nothing there. It was just like a building and then a bar, and there was no one at the hostel. It was all locked up and closed. And there was a note on the door that said, if you get here before this time, please call this number. And we're like, okay, where's the phone? So we had to drive up the street to a store to get to a payphone. There's a payphone booth outside. So I put the money in and I call the number and I said, hey, we're trying to get into the hostel. And the person that I'm talking to says, hey, okay, well, there's a store. You need to drive up the street a little bit, and there's a store. And they said the name of the store, and that was the name of the store that the phone booth was outside of. So I was calling the inside of the store. I wasted my money. Anyway, we went in there. People were super nice, and we followed this guy back there, and he gave us a tour of the place and gave us a key to the whole hostel. There was no one there. It had room for like 30 people. I think there were like 30 beds in there or something. There was not one person in there besides us. It was kind of cool. It was a little bit creepy and creaky. Like, it was really windy, and so the place would creak. Doors and stuff would creak, so I think it was haunted. I think it actually was haunted. I was scared. But it was kind of cool. It was really cold in there, so it was cool and cold. But it was nifty to have that place all to ourselves. It wasn't like a palace or anything. It was freezing in pretty much every room, and it had like space heaters to turn on. So we turned on space heaters to heat up our bedroom, and then we went down and like cooked some food in the kitchen, and it was kind of a meat locker in the kitchen too. I'm like, wow, we don't even need the refrigerator. We'll just stick things on the counter. It's so cold. But it was awesome. It was just like a nice time to just have quiet time, really, because we hadn't had any quiet time for a really long time. And they had like a little sitting room, game room, something that had a stack of old National Geographic magazines. And I love National Geographic. I am a huge nerd. I'm really not making a very good case for myself of not being a nerd. But we were all geeking out because they were all from like 88 to 91, I think. And they had all to do with like the collapse of the USSR and like turmoil in Czechoslovakia and the Baltic states, and of course Estonia is one of the Baltic states, and just things that we were really interested in. And it was articles that were written at that time. So we all went into our cozy room because we'd had the heater on, and we just sat up pretty late, like reading all these magazines, super geeky, but it was so awesome. It was really nice chill out time. After that, we pretty much just left the next day, turned in our key at the bar next door, and headed off for the next place. So we didn't really do a whole lot in those couple of days, but it was kind of nice. We were, like I said, we were getting kind of homesick, and so we weren't super motivated to do a lot of things, and we were getting like lower on funds, and so we're just trying not to spend a lot of money. And it was cold. When it's cold, you're not as motivated, I think. Unless you're outside and you need to move around and get warm. But anyway, so the next video I think will be the last one, guys. So it's sad, but I'll be doing more. Don't worry. So I will see you guys next time. We'll talk about Cork and the other places that we went in the southern part of Ireland. So talk to you guys later. Bye.